Welcome to weekly Kashmir University Video Digest Quest. First, a look at the highlights. Youth Parliament held. Seminar on World Press Freedom Day organized. UGC Vice Chairman interacts with KU faculty. And some important notifications of the university. Now, the details with your host, Ishan Fazili. Department of Students Welfare organized first ever group level competition for the 12th Youth Parliament. The Youth Parliament was held in the EMMRC auditorium. Dean Students Welfare Professor Nilofer Khan presented the welcome address.
Various heads of the departments, deans of the faculties, dear students, and our group coordinator from Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Bhonsle. A very hearty welcome to all of you. This is especially for the Honorable Minister. This shows your commitment towards the youth development. And in fact, the present program is towards the personality development of our students. We at the Department of Students Welfare, we try to bridge the gap between the society and our university, and this is one of the such programs. Our students at the national and even at the international level do wonderful competitions and they win prizes also. But this was the opportunity given to us by Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs in order to conduct this zonal level competition.
After the welcome address began the Youth Parliament. Here are some excerpts from the debate.
Let us now begin with the introduction of newly elected members by taking the oath or affirmation. Secretary General, please.
True faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, and that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of the country.
Now we proceed with question hour. Question number 101, Honourable Member of Opposition, Shri Mohammed Tehseen Sofi.
Honourable Speaker, will the Minister for IT and Telecommunications be pleased to justify, number one, the current telecom policy of the government, which is tremendously resulting into a windfall for the telecom companies at the cost of common man?
Would the Honourable Minister for IT and Telecommunications, please.
Responding to the query raised by the Honourable Opposition Member, I would like to point out that there's a reason, there's a strong reason that we are having such a policy. Sir, since the advent of Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Viber and all such things, सर कोई ये कोशिश ही नहीं करता कि जेब से मोबाइल निकाले और फोन करे या एसएमएस भेजे सब लोग इन्हीं मुफ्त चीजों पे लगे हुए हैं सर in order to compensate these losses we are bringing in this new policy because our government believes that a loss to the IT sector is a loss to our national revenue and a loss to our national revenue is a loss to our nation sir
देश का धन 100 दिन में वापस sir let me remind you 365 days have been passed yet we have not received any report on the black market. Our money is still stuck in Switzerland, Mauritius and Sri Lankan account. My question to them is, why isn't the money coming back? How much more time do you need?
Respected Speaker, it seems like the Honourable Leader of Opposition does not even bother to pay a look at the daily newspaper headlines since the day they are in opposition.
Winners of the group level competition will be invited by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs to participate in All India Youth Parliament. Later, speaking on the occasion, Union Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs Dr. Harshad Bhonsle, while praising students for their performance, spoke about the history of Youth Parliament and emphasized the need for organizing such events.
It was earlier it was known as mock parliament, but later on the term mock parliament was changed and it was changed to youth parliament. And youth parliament, basic objective of youth parliament was to create a kind of model in front of the parliamentarians. And since then, youth parliament is organized in almost all Indian universities. In fact, in last 30 to 40 years, relentlessly this youth parliament is organized in almost all universities in India. I had been to Haryana, I had been to New Delhi, I had been to several colleges in Mumbai itself. And this is the last college, and let me tell you frankly that your performance was excellent. Your performance was magnanimous. All the students almost has auriferous quality of oration, and I am very much impressed by your oratory skill, by your diction, by your gesture. And I'm also very happy that the script was written by the students themselves. So this is a special thing.
Minister for Education, Mr. Naeem Akhtar Andrabi, said that the level of debate by the youth during the competition impressed him.
Impressed by the level of debate, by the homework that you have done. Because we parliamentarians, legislators, generally, hum tukka marte hain. But it was so nice that you have gone into the subject. I am impressed with each one of you, as Professor Saab pointed out. All of you deserve to be in the first position. You are perhaps the best law minister anywhere who could respond with such depth and detail. You got very outstanding opposition members.
He opined that no nation can prosper if it fails to educate its citizens.
I have often said that if we fail on the front of education, we will not succeed on anything else. That is the punchline for me. Because societies are not made by constructing roads. They are not made by constructing hospitals. They are made for the human beings. But here, the trend is reverse. Human beings are used for building infrastructure, human resource, but infrastructure is not built for the human use. Unless we change that equation, we will not reach anywhere. And it is not the natural resource, steel, coal, petrol, oil, nuclear energy, that makes the nations. It is the man and the woman who make nations.
In charge Vice Chancellor, Central University of Kashmir, Professor Mehrajuddin Mir congratulated university for organizing Youth Parliament. He was all praise for the participants.
All of you, whether in power or whether in opposition, have been in a position to make their points, both by the words spoken as well as by your body language and body chemistry. Well, it appears as if you have taken us back, not to the present parliament, with due apology to Mr. Naeem Saab, but to the parliament which we used to witness 30 years back. Whenever we say or whenever we fight with each other, we often say, do not use unparliamentary language. Within quote, so far as this unparliamentary language is concerned, its connotation and its meaning has now totally changed. What was meant by parliamentary language is totally different than what happens today.
Vice Chancellor Professor Khurshid Iqbal Andrabi, while praising the performance of the students, told them that they have made him proud.
I was so very pleasantly surprised to see the discourse. I honestly must confess that you made me proud. You made me proud as the head of the family, in front of the guests, and especially the delegation from Sri Lanka. You know, we have spread the message around, as well as not necessarily restricted to the country, but abroad. And I must endorse what Professor Mir had to say, that we do well when we go out, but we have to learn to do well when we are within.
Cultural Officer Mr. Shahid Ali Khan conducted the proceedings of the function.
For you all students, निगाहों में सपना सजा कर तो देखो, निगाहों में सपना सजा कर तो देखो, इरादे को मकसद बना कर तो देखो, किनारे पे रखकर किसे क्या मिला है, जरा बीच सागर के जाकर तो देखो, सितारों से आगे है मंजिल तुम्हारी, जरा हौसले को जगा कर तो देखो.
Media Education Research Center, in collaboration with Jammu and Kashmir Press Association, organized a day-long seminar on World Press Freedom. The seminar was held in the EMMRC auditorium. Coordinator MERC, Mr. Farooq Masoodi, presented the welcome address.
What Press Freedom Day is trying to do is to create this awareness, this consciousness among its audiences, to nurture and to re-emphasize a democratic atmosphere, a working atmosphere, not just for the fraternity, but for the readers, for the audiences as well. My special interest is Islam, and I was just trying to see what kind of traditions we have in the Muslim community for a very democratic freedom of speech. We are basically storytellers, all journalists are. We need to tell stories because there is a great story to be told, or we need to tell stories because we are getting paid for it, or we need to tell stories because they are getting gagged.
President JKPA, Mr. Ghulam Hassan Kallu, introduced the theme of the seminar.
The idea of this day is to inform world community about freedom of the press, condition of publishing houses, and harassment caused to media men all over the globe. The theme for this year has been chosen as Let Journalism Thrive, towards better reporting, gender equality, and safety in this age. The day also is to remind world governments about their commitment to press freedom and to the journalists to their commitment to ethics of journalism. And above all, to remember all those journalists who have laid down their lives so far in the cause of their professional obligations. Let us remember them with reverence.
Senior faculty member MERC, Mr. Nasir Mirza, presented a brief profile of the department.
Media department was established in 1985 as a result of pioneering efforts of our founder head of the department, Professor Manzoor al-Amin. May he live long. It was the result of his pioneering efforts that we are here. But as you know that 90s happened, the Kashmir was engulfed by the turmoil, and everybody else left. And I found myself alone at the helm of affairs. It was way back in early 90s. But then, after having managed the affairs of the department single-handedly for quite some time, but as the poet says, log aate gaye aur karwan banta gaya. And now this is a star-studded department. We have produced almost 1,000 stars we have given to the media industry and to the society.
Senior editor of news channel NDTV, Ms. Maya Mirchandani, in her keynote address told students that facts at any cost cannot be reported wrongly.
We need to be convinced what we are doing is right. We need to be convinced we are speaking on behalf of a larger public. We are holding positions of power, positions in authority accountable. And if we can sleep with that knowledge at night, knowing we've done our job to the best of our abilities, then we are doing a job well done. But one of the dangers that we are confronted by now is not just the issue of sensationalism and what we consider news and don't consider news, but is of what people can get away with. So if we want others to be accountable for promises they make, then we need to hold ourselves accountable to an extremely high standard of scrutiny. We need to hold ourselves accountable to to checking our facts when we go out and report a story, to accepting and acknowledging in case we make a mistake. I don't think we should be making a mistake. There's no scope for mistakes actually in reporting. But we are seeing that happen, especially in the rush of 24-hour news as you try and go about gathering a news story through the day and putting out information as you get it.
Registrar Professor Zafar Ahmed Rishi said that freedom of press is obligatory, but one has to decide the boundary of that freedom.
Who decides basically what are the parameters of that freedom? After all, as Maya Mirchandani just now wrote, that the geography changes reality. I believe media also changes reality at times. I mean, and they have to be conscious of that, isn't it? I mean, point is, they also take this freedom at times to such extremes that you have unpleasant things like Charlie Hebdo, like death of Diana, and many other things. And then somehow the media has to take the flag for that also, that they had reported, say, about certain of the judgments that have very recently come. in India regarding the release of certain of the people who were branded as terrorists. Anyway, the media somehow presented the cases in such a manner that as if the ultimate word had been written and that the justice has been delivered.
Dean Academic Affairs Professor Ashraf Wani felt that press can play a positive role in strengthening social development.
The free press can strengthen the public sphere by mediating between citizens and the state, facilitating debate about the major issues of the day, and informing the public about their leaders. By contrast, where the media fails to act as the effective civic forum, this can hinder democratic consolidation. State ownership and control is one of the important issues, but threats to media pluralism are also raised by over-concentration of private ownership of the media, whether in the hands of the broadcasting oligopolies within each nation or of major multinational corporations with multimedia empires.
Vice-Chancellor Professor Khurshid Iqbal Andrabi stated that freedom comes with responsibility, and that responsibility has to be fulfilled.
Freedom basically comes with a fine print of lots of do's and don'ts. And if you do not follow that, it becomes anarchy. So, underlying this freedom, there have to be substantive moral, ethical, and other values that make it responsible and that make it more productive and appealing. If we were to let it go without these attributes, ladies and gentlemen, it would create real serious implications. And if the intent of creating these or the intent of ignoring one of the other attribute, it would be even more serious if the intent was bad. I must also emphasize that even if at times intent is good and the proper homework has not been done, it can have serious implications.
MERC student Mr. Nisar Dharma conducted the proceedings of the function. UGC Vice Chairman Professor H. Devaraj interacted with the deans, heads and directors of the Kashmir University. The interaction session was held in the Gandhi Bhavan Hall. Vice Chancellor Professor Khurshid Iqbal Andrabi introduced the guest to the audience.
Professor Devaraj has been an extraordinary researcher, and he worked in perhaps the most modern areas of biology before he took over as Vice Chairman of UGC. And what I heard of him in the morning, I was really happy for a change, because what he talked about is what we all envisage to have UGC do. I hope and pray that what his vision is actually translated into reality. And in this regard, he actually mentioned a couple of steps UGC has taken to make the life of recruitment process or learning and teaching process much more comfortable.
Speaking on the occasion, Professor Devaraj told faculty members that the appointment of teachers is most important responsibility of any institutions, adding teachers should be held accountable.
Don't expect immediate things. I think we have to struggle. We have to struggle. We have to struggle. Perseverance and endurance. These are all the two characters the teacher should have. I think that what we have to imbibe is the endurance and the perseverance. If you don't have that, I don't believe in publications. I don't believe in H-index. No, we have to give something to the society, which is very, very important. What is the use of having a H-index 7 or 8? Yesterday I got a paper in PNAS from my lab. So I'm proud to say this. What is the use of having a PNAS paper? Now, probably if I got this long back, probably I would have got some other thing. But what I say is, now I think as a mature academician, I think the teachers should give something to the society. You should not duplicate or replicate what was done in USA 30 years before. Now I think definitely you are behind 30 years. You have to understand that. You are definitely 30 years behind. I think now only India is a country where you are spending almost 4% of our GDP on education and 1.12% on higher education now. I think we are spending a lot of money. But where that money goes and what is the accountability that is missing in India?
Many heads, deans and directors put forth their points before UGC Vice Chairman. Later, Professor Devaraj visited biotechnology and EMMRC and interacted with the faculty and students there.
We used to deliver lectures from here for EBSAT. Content and ETV both are being done. We are also doing Urdu. So then it becomes part of the program. Like we give them the idea.
I am working on multiple student transcription. We've actually come up with this novel kind of fine language. We work with artificial also, we work with apoptosis also.
Basically, what we need is the cell culture that we already have.
The facilities here?
Yeah, real time.
I basically maintain A549 cell lines, Chago K, Catco, Hila. You have Catco cells? Yeah, we have Catco cells also. We are actually looking at the antibodies, auto-antibodies generated against antigens of the, cancer. Lung cancer.
Actually found aggregates for those cells. So that we can do the sequencing. I will send it to you cytogenomic coaching. Okay.
Now, some important notifications. Candidates having appeared in first and second year N1 examination of 2014 of BA, BSc, BCom, BBA, BCA, MCMP second and third year classes are eligible for provisional admission in their respective classes. Online applications are invited for admission in the Institute of Music and Fine Arts. Submission of forms commences from May 18. Last date of submission of online application forms and hard copy is May 27th. To know more about these, log on to kashmiruniversity.ac.in or kashmiruniversity.net. With this, we come to the end of today's program. Log on to our website emmrckashmir.com to watch the latest episode of The Quest. Send us your suggestions at quest@emmrckashmir.com. Before I take your leave, here are few words of wisdom. If you are not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original.